All right, let's dive into this, shall we? The Triloknath Temple
Yeah.
up in the Himalayas. I mean, wow, the stuff you sent me about this place,
Oh, it's incredible.
it's going to be quite a journey just talking about it.
It is.
A stunning temple.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful architecture. But, and here's the kicker, it's revered by both Hindus and Buddhists.
Yeah. A truly unique example of, interfaith harmony. You don't find many places like this.
I mean, talk about a spiritual melting pot, right?
Oh,
It really is. And the material mentions a single statue worshipped as both Shiva and the Avalokiteshvara.
Yeah, that's really the heart of it. A single deity representing different concepts to two major world religions. I mean, that's not something you see every day.
Exactly. And it gets you thinking, right? Like, how do belief systems blend and evolve over time? So for anyone listening who, maybe isn't super familiar with Hinduism or Buddhism, can you break down a little bit who Shiva and Avalokiteshvara are, what they represent?
Sure. So in Hinduism, Shiva is a powerful deity, represents both destruction and de-transformation, kind of like the idea of clearing the way for new beginnings, a force of, cosmic energy, essential to that cycle of life, death, rebirth.
Yeah.
Now, Avalokiteshvara, he's a key figure in Buddhism. He embodies compassion. His whole purpose is to, help beings achieve enlightenment, that state of ultimate peace and understanding.
So essentially, the same statue becomes a symbol of these incredibly different but equally important concepts, depending on, well, who's worshiping. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. And what I find fascinating is that instead of conflict, you have this sense of harmony.
Right, and that's really something worth examining. It's not about one belief system, overriding the other. They seem to coexist, maybe even complement each other. It challenges that common idea that different faiths can't find common ground, because here they clearly do.
They do. Yeah. And that's not even getting into the temple's architecture, which for the pictures I've seen is just incredible. So does the building itself reflect this, this unique blend of Hindu and Buddhist traditions?
Oh, definitely. It has that traditional Himalayan pagoda-style roof, but then you look closer and you see the simplicity of the design, the intricate carvings. They speak to this almost like a universal aesthetic, influenced by both faiths over time. Don't forget, we're talking about a structure probably built back in the 10th or 11th century, so, imagine the layers of history there embedded in those walls.
I'm trying to. It's amazing. And speaking of history, the research mentions the Triloknath Temple is a key stop on the Buddhist pilgrimage circuit. Can you tell us more about, what that involves?
So, for Tibetan Buddhists, this journey to sacred sites, like Triloknath, it's considered this deeply spiritual act. Like a physical manifestation of their seeking enlightenment. They travel for weeks, sometimes months, through harsh conditions to reach these destinations. And the Triloknath Temple, because of its connection to Avalokiteshvara, holds a special significance within that journey.
Wow, that level of devotion it's incredible. It really puts the temple's importance into a whole new perspective.
It does, but it gets even more interesting. The Triloknath Temple isn't just about, religious practices and pilgrimages. It's also steeped in these fascinating local legends. And these stories offer a glimpse into the beliefs, the values of the people living in this, really remote and challenging environment.
Okay, you've got my attention. What kind of stories are we talking about?
Well, one of the most popular ones is about how the statue actually arrived at the temple. Local legend says a shepherd was guided to it by this radiant light emanating from the earth, almost like a divine beacon,
Wow. It's almost mythical, like something straight out of like an Indiana Jones movie or something. I'm guessing this story ties into the belief that this location, this very specific location, was, chosen. Right. For a reason, for a specific sacred purpose.
Exactly. It speaks to that belief in divine intervention. The idea that this spot wasn't just randomly selected, but destined for spiritual significance.
Makes sense, especially given the whole dual worship thing.
Yeah.
But the material also mentions someone named Tinddu Puhala, a local folklore figure. How does he fit into all of this?
Tinddu. He's fascinating. He's this local hero, almost a demigod, you could say, who protects the community from harm. And his stories are full of, trials and triumphs, battling stone giants, outsmarting trickster deities, you name it.
Wait, hold on. Battling stone giants. Okay, now you have to tell me more about that.
Okay, so one popular tale says Tinddu faced these giants, terrorizing the region. And he outsmarted them, tricked them into standing still until sunrise. And, well, when the sun hit them, they turned into these towering rock formations, which you can actually still see in parts of the Lahaul Valley.
No way. So the landscape itself is, like, part of the legend. a physical testament to Tindu's victory.
Yeah.
I love how these stories just weave myth and reality together.
Right, and it's not just about entertainment. Tindu's story, like many hero myths across cultures, speaks to these universal themes: courage, resilience, using your wits and strength to protect your community.
Qualities that would resonate deeply with people living in such a harsh and unpredictable environment like the Himalayas.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
But Tindu's story doesn't end there. Local legend says he embarks on this final mysterious journey into the mountains, and he merges with the divine, becomes one with the spirit of the Himalayas.
wow, so he transcends the human realm, becoming almost like this guardian spirit for the region.
Exactly, and his presence is believed to be felt very strongly around the Triloknath Temple. It adds another layer of meaning to the site, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. And speaking of layers of meaning, the material mentions this vibrant festival called Pori, where Tindu's legend really, takes center stage. Can you tell us a little bit about how this event blends the religious and the mythical?
Oh, the Pori festival. It's held every August, draws crowds from all over. It's really something. Vibrant processions, prayers echoing through the valley, a fusion of Hindu and Buddhist customs. But it's not just about rituals, it's about celebrating Tindu's legacy, seeking his continued protection.
Wow. So it's this incredible mix of ancient traditions, contemporary beliefs, and, well, a deep connection to the land and its protector. I bet the energy there is just amazing.
Oh, it's truly a spectacle, a testament to the resilience of the community and their ability to weave together these different strands of belief and storytelling.
I can only imagine. It sounds like something everyone should experience at least once.
Yeah.
But before we, get too carried away with the festivities, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. You said the Triloknath Temple isn't just about religion, it's also about the stories, the people.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that a bit more?
You're right. There's so much more to it than, just rituals and doctrines. These local legends, like the one about Tinddu, they tell us so much about how people, how they relate to this very specific environment, how they make sense of the world around them. They provide a framework for understanding their history, their values, their connection to the land.
And those stories, they're passed down, through generations, becoming like part of the fabric of the community, right?
Exactly. They create this sense of shared identity, a way of connecting with the past and making sense of the present. And in a place like the Himalayas, where life is so intertwined with nature, these stories take on this even deeper significance.
It's amazing how something like a legend about a hero battling stone giants can actually tell us so much about a culture's relationship to the landscape. It's like the mountains themselves are imbued with meaning, with significance.
Oh, absolutely. And those layers of meaning, that's what makes a place like the Triloknath Temple so extraordinary.
Sure.
It's not just a building. It's a repository of history, of faith, of storytelling, all woven together into this tapestry that continues to, evolve and inspire.
Well said. And speaking of inspiring, I'm feeling inspired to learn more about those other mystical tales surrounding the Triloknath Temple. From what you said earlier, it sounds like there's a whole other world of folklore waiting to be explored.
Oh, there definitely is. And those tales offer even more insight into, the spiritual beliefs, the sense of wonder that just permeates this entire region. So those mystical tales, remember how we were talking about Tinddu merging with the spirit of the mountains? Well, that idea isn't unique to his story. There are all these local accounts about unusual occurrences around the Triloknath Temple.
Oh yeah, you mentioned healings, visions, strange lights. Is this where we get into Himalayan UFOs?
Not quite. But think more along the lines of, unexplained things happening. And they get attributed to a divine presence, especially on certain nights. Considered auspicious. Could be a sudden recovery from an illness, or just like an overwhelming feeling of peace. But these stories, they reinforce that belief that the Triloknath Temple is a place where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual, they kind of blur.
Yeah, I can see that. In a setting that awe-inspiring, it makes sense that the line between reality and the supernatural might feel a little fuzzy. But even if these tales aren't taken literally, they definitely add to that mystical allure of the place.
Absolutely. They contribute to the aura of the sacred, even if they're seen as symbolic. And remember, we're talking about a region where Hinduism and Buddhism have flourished for centuries. Belief systems that really emphasize the interconnectedness of all things, the seen and the unseen.
Yeah, that interconnectedness keeps coming up,
Yeah.
both in the blending of faiths and the way these legends are so intertwined with the natural world. Speaking of which, let's get back to the Pori festival. Now that we know about Tinddu and the mystical side of things, I really want to hear about the actual experience.
Okay, picture this. You've trekked through these breathtaking mountain passes,
Right.
and you finally arrive at the temple, and the whole atmosphere is electric, just buzzing with anticipation. Crowds of people all dressed in these bright colors. The air is thick with incense, mountain herbs, and the music, those traditional Hindu and Buddhist melodies, they're just echoing all through the valley.
I can almost hear it, that rhythmic drumming and chanting.
Yes. And there's this feeling, a sense of excitement, devotion. People are praying, sharing stories, catching up with, friends and family. It's as much a social gathering as a spiritual one. And then there are the processions, these elaborate floats depicting scenes from Hindu mythology and Buddhist teachings, and they're carried by the local villagers.
Wow. I can only imagine that sense of community, those traditions passed down for generations, and in the middle of it all, the spirit of Tinddu, the protector, watching over everything.
It's incredible, truly a spectacle, blending ancient myths with contemporary beliefs, honoring the past, seeking blessings for the future, and really reaffirming that strength of the community.
It makes me think about the power of place, how certain locations become so much more than just, coordinates on a map. They become vessels for history, for faith, for storytelling.
You're right. And they invite us to think about our own relationship to the places that hold meaning for us, the spaces that shape how we see the world and our place in it.
We often focus on these big global things, events, politics, but sometimes it's these specific places, these local stories, that give us the most profound insights into being human.
I agree completely. The Triloknath Temple is a perfect example. It challenges our ideas about what a sacred space can be. It shows us the possibility of harmony between different belief systems and that deep connection between people and the land they call home.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that even with our differences, we have these common threads that connect us. But before we get too philosophical, let's recap what we've learned today.
We started by exploring that unique dual worship at the Triloknath Temple, how one statue can represent both Shiva and Avalokiteshvara, reflecting how Hinduism and Buddhism have blended over time.
Then we went into that captivating world of local folklore. We met Tinddu Puhala, that hero whose story really embodies resilience, community, and the deep bond between people and the land.
And we talked about those mystical tales. Those add a whole other layer of intrigue to the Triloknath Temple and highlight that belief in spiritual power that really seems to permeate this whole region.
And of course, the Pori festival, a celebration that brings together ancient traditions, contemporary beliefs, and the enduring spirit of Tinddu, the protector.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but there's still so much more to uncover. When we come back, we'll wrap things up, reflect on the bigger picture, and what we can all learn from this journey to the heart of the Himalayas.
Stick around. This is a conversation you won't want to miss. We'll be right back. It's wild, right? Just hearing about a place like the Triloknath Temple can really, take you there.
It really can. And I think as we wrap up, it's worth thinking about what we can learn from this place, this whole story, beyond just the history and, where it is on a map.
Okay, yeah. I'm all for extracting some wisdom from our Himalayan adventure. What stands out to you?
Well, first thing that comes to mind is that power of shared belief. We hear so much about religious conflict, division. But the Triloknath Temple, it shows a totally different story. A place where Hinduism and Buddhism coexist, even complement each other.
Yeah, it flips the script on that whole us versus them thing. It's more like shared reverence, finding common ground in something, bigger than themselves.
Exactly. It goes beyond just tolerating different beliefs. It's about understanding that there can be multiple paths to the same destination, whether that's enlightenment, inner peace, or just feeling connected to something more.
And that's a lesson that goes way beyond religion, don't you think? Finding common ground in a world that, let's face it, feels pretty divided these days.
Absolutely. Triloknath reminds us that even with all our differences, we share more than we think. And seeing those shared values, those things all humans want, that's probably more important now than ever.
Makes you wonder if we all have a little bit of that Triloknath spirit inside us, that ability to bridge divides, find unity in all the diversity.
I like that Triloknath spirit. And speaking of unity, we can't forget Tinddu Puhala. His story, even if it's, a myth, it tells us so much about connecting the human and the divine. the individual and the community, the past and the present.
Right, and how it's all tied to the landscape, those stone formations. It highlights how much our beliefs, our myths, they shape how we see the world around us.
Exactly. Those stories get passed down, become part of a culture, a way to make sense of the world and our place in it. And in a place as powerful as the Himalayas, it's not surprising those stories are so connected to the land.
It makes you appreciate storytelling, right? Not just to entertain, but to teach, to inspire, to connect us to something bigger.
And in a world that can feel, well, chaotic at times, those stories, those connections, they can ground us, remind us about the enduring human spirit.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive into the Triloknath Temple, I feel a sense of awe, but also like a responsibility. What do I do with this knowledge? How can I apply it to my own life, to the world around me?
Those are great questions, and I hope everyone listening is asking those same things, whether it's seeking out common ground, embracing different views, or just appreciating the power of place and stories. There's something here for everybody.
So for everyone listening, here's a final thought. What's your takeaway from this journey to the Triloknath Temple? What new perspective will you carry with you today? Keep those questions in mind, keep exploring, and keep diving deep. Until next time.